Hello, how's it going? I'm Jake Patton, aka Big Jake 88, and welcome to my YouTube channel on Eye for Horror. It is 6:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, he, Tuesday, September 30th. Now, here in Bowling Green, Ohio, 42402. Now, I was going to say tomorrow is the start of spooky season, but for a lot of us, spooky season actually started, September 1st. But tomorrow is the official start of spooky season. A whole month of just scary movies, uh, horror podcasts, just and some chocolate because you got to have chocolate during October, and hopefully Halloween Oreos and some Count Chocolate cereal. The good shit. Anyways, so so a couple weeks ago, I met some awesome people. Actually, I met them before, but never in person. So let's get into it. A couple weeks ago, my friends Scott and Chris of the Meet Us in the Man Cave podcast, check them out. They they picked me up and I stayed at Scott's for a couple nights and we hung out. But let me give you more details. See, I've joined them on their podcast for a good um, for a few times, quite a few times, and it's and I've had them on my podcast too, which was awesome. And I need I need to do that again. But with all this, we became friends, which is cool. So one day we were talking about Horror Hound, which is a horror movie convention. They have it twice a year, one in Sharonville and one in shit, Cleveland or Indiana. I don't know, but or Cincinnati in Indiana. Yeah, my bad. But so they talked about going, and then they're talking, and then Scott, they said we should. I don't know. That's why I wanted to go. I should, yeah. And then Scott bought me a ticket. It was like, which was awesome. For Saturday, and then we kept talking about it. Then a couple more times that we hung out on the podcast. We talked about it some more, and then I don't know. It was just awesome. But so also they're like a couple. They're closer to each other. So they've hung out more, which is awesome. But it was just awesome for me, to finally meet them, because we've been doing podcasts for a couple of years. Um, at least I've known them for a couple of years, and within that time, I've been lucky enough to do podcasts with them. But so like I said, they live a couple hours away from me, but they picked me up, and it was just wild. Because we met before, but just not in person. So it was just really cool. Uh, they're like my brothers, So that's cool. All right, so they picked me up. We went to uh, uh, to Chris's, where I met his wife Natalie, his mom Jennifer, um, their son Matthew, and their two daughters. I'm okay. I'm kind of bad with names. I wasn't sure. Well, but they were just great people. But and Chris's friend Jameson showed up. I met him. He's a really nice guy. And then I think a couple of Matthew and Chris's friends. I can't remember the names, but they were cool. But and we had pizza. They ordered pizza from this place called Fox's Den Pizza. Oh, fantastic! Chef's kiss. The pizza is the bomb. It's kind of like heavenly pizza if you ever heard of that. But it's not a circular pizza cut into triangles in a square box. It's like a rectangular box, and it's rectangular pizza with cut into squares. But yeah, fantastic. And we just hung out, and it was awesome. Also, I got to see Chris's man cave. Well, also got to see Scott's man cave because I stayed at his place, and they were both phenomenal. I mean, I had seen that. I seen only parts of them of their man caves when I joined the podcast. Only what the camera will see. Man, I hope I don't. Anyways, but oh yeah, I don't want to forget this. Scott gave me an awesome corner desk he's had for like a year, and he got a new one. And instead of he, junking this one or doing something, getting rid of it, he asked if I wanted it, and I said yes. And along with picking me up, Chris and Scott, they they set it up, and but the problem is I wasn't totally ready for it. I thought I was, but I have this this big kitchen table, or maybe it's a medium size, but anyways, it was in my living room, and it was used for stacking DVDs or movies, and whatnot. But anyways, long story short, I put it in my kitchen. I dragged it in my kitchen and left it there for the weekend until I got back home. But but and yeah, the desk is awesome, and I think I'm really gonna enjoy it, and it's helped me with my podcast because I feel more like a podcaster with this desk, with my microphone, with this setup. Yeah, so that's awesome. But anyways, back to the story. So we hung out at Chris and Natalie's at pizza and just hung out. And I played my first game of beer pong. Um, I sucked. I was hoping for beginner's luck, but I did make a couple shots, shots. So that was cool. But you're not gonna be good at something unless you're, I don't know, a naturalist. I don't know, but it's all good. Um, and then so so Scott and I go back to his place. I slept in his son's bedroom, which is cool, comfortable bed. Um, and then I got to see, like I said, I got to see his man cave too, and his man cave was awesome. His Michael Myers scared the shit out of me. Also, so did Chris's behind his bar, because Scott and Chris both have bars in their homes, which is so cool. But and also Chris is he has uh this awesome collection of Michael Myers masks. And wow, I was impressed. And then seeing Scott's bar, it's a Van Halen theme. It was so cool. And then, like I said, his Michael Myers in his office scared the shit out of me. It was kind of like surprising to see. I wasn't expecting to see it there. They both have these Michael Myers. They're like a mannequin dressed in coveralls and whatnot with the mask on. Oh, very cool, very creepy. But so the next day we get up, and then Scott and I drove the to the convention center, the Sheratonville Convention Center, and there was a parking lot across the way, across from it, and we met Todd, who was a longtime friend of Scott's, and then he became a friend of mine, and then also Chris's, because they met for the first time, which is awesome. So, but for a little bit there, it was Scott, Todd, and I. So we had a beer, this beer called a Shotgun Wedding, and I think it's shit. I forget where it said it's out of, or maybe, maybe. Oh, I know it was really good though. I liked it. I dug it. Then we went to the convention center. We scanned the barcodes and got our tickets and our wristband. We got a wristband, not you know. Anyways, so we're walking around, and I've gone to well, I've gone to Hound once before in 2012, but in Columbus. That was a long time ago. But I, the main convention that I go to is Motor City Nightmares in Novi, Michigan, and well, uh, through the years of attending that convention, I made some friends, and I got to see two of them, Jeff and Luna of Zombie Works. I met Jeff there for the first time, and then a couple years later, Luna started working with him, and then they've become this awesome couple, and they got married and whatnot, and they just they're really awesome together, and they're just two of the coolest people I've ever met. They're just very fun. They're into Halloween, scary movies, spooky shit, all that. And hell yeah, that's awesome. So I seen them. I'm like, hey, we just cut up for a minute, for a few minutes, and I introduced Scott and Todd to Jeff and Luna. Um, and that was really cool. It was just cool to see people that I know, like, and unfortunately, I haven't seen them since around 2018 or 19. Uh, but and Jeff was right. He said, I've been trying to get you to come to this for years, and he has. I'm just glad I got to go again. I got to go to a Horror Hound convention again because it's such a great convention. They you know the lines are a little confusing, but it was their first time in this new convention center. So I'm sure the next convention, next Horror Hound they have there, though, it'll be smoother. But it was a blast. So we 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 walk around, see some cool shit. We all wanted to buy, and then but the first guest we met was Nick Cass, who played Michael Myers in the original Halloween. Excuse me. But and Scott and I both brought masks for Nick Castle to sign, and excuse me. Todd was nice enough to go back to Scott's car and grab our masks, and then we're in line, and then we both get a mask signed, get pictures with Nick Castle, and it was just so awesome. That's the original Michael Myers, the original shape, and just a down to earth guy, very cool. And then we went to Dick Warlock's line, and that was so cool. Dick Warlock, though, as you know, played Michael Myers in Halloween 2, and he was an android slash assistant to Conal Cochran in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So yeah, he's the one well, actually, he has a couple different scenes, but I'm pretty sure he's the one that Tom Atkins punches, and you see the frozen orange juice come out of. Yeah, that's just. Anyways, yeah. Let me continue. So it was so, and it was in line also. Oh yeah, his cousin came. Um, and he bought this shirt for him, and the shirt said "insufficient memory." Um, Very cool. But so we talked to his cousin for a few minutes, and then his cousin gave him a shirt, and then I, I had this action figure, this NECA figure, Halloween 2, that my dad got me from Motor City Nightmares this past July. Um, so I had Dick Warlock sign this, but real quick on this, it was $50, on Saturday, and then it was still there on Sunday. So my dad said, "Why don't you take him $40? See if he'll take it." And voila, he did. So signed it, Dick Warlock, H2, and this thing is awesome. This just yeah, I love that action figure. And then and I mentioned to Dick Warlock because a lot of people don't like. Well, at least back then, a lot of people didn't like how he walked. They thought he was too robotic. But then over the years, people put it on. But I never thought that. I was like, that's Michael Myers. That's creepy as hell. His walk is awesome. He didn't have to do what Nick Castle did. Nick Castle did what Nick Castle did with his walk, and Dick Warlock he made it his own. He did his own thing, and it was fantastic. And so he did the walk for me, which was awesome. And then so we're after that we walked on some more, and then Chris, Natalie, Matthew, and the daughters came along with a friend of Chris's, which I think his name is Rick or Rick. I don't remember his name, unfortunately. But they showed up, and then we were walking around, and then hanging out. It was cool. Chris got some awesome pictures with Chris and his family got some awesome pictures with Nick Castle and Dick Warlock. It was so cool. And then we checked out Mask Fest, which was awesome. There was so many great masks, so many freaking amazing artists. Just you know, like how they do this cool shit. I have no idea, but they're professionals at it. And they had some really cool masks. Like they had a couple. They had two. Okay, they had the haunted masks from Goosebumps, from the masks from the Haunted Mask One and the Haunted Mask Two. Yeah, excuse me. But it was cool, really cool. And then there's also this guy with R2D2. But the really cool thing about it, besides being seeing an R2D2 there, that he made noises and shit. The R2D2 had a photon pack on, and he was a Ghostbuster. Like, how creative is that? To when worlds collide, Ghostbusters and Star Wars. And that was cool as hell. And there was this other guy. He had like this animatronic. It was a chick, right? And I don't know if she's like a zombie, but she was like hanging on to him, like her arms were wrapped around him, and her legs were like right here, like yeah, and she would like move. And it was just really cool. Oh man, but it was just such a great time, and I, I walked around with Matthew. Matthew hung out with him for a little bit too. He was a cool dude. And it was just fun, and everyone had a good time, you know. And then we took Well, we took a small group picture of Scott, Chris, Todd, Chris's friend, and myself in front of the Horror Hound sign, which was awesome. And then after that, Todd left, and then we stayed for a little bit longer. And then I said to Scott, I really want to get Dick Warlock's autograph one more time because I wanted to get an 8x10, right? So Scott said, "I'll go with you." So we left. Everyone else in this one part of the convention, and then we went to another room where Dick Warlock was, right? And um, the cool thing was that a lot of people had been to see everyone, and so his line was not long at all this time, second time. And so we're in line, and the volunteer that was working with him says, "Back again, huh?" I go, "Yeah," or something like that. Hell yeah, or whatever. And then I choose an 8x10, and we're in line. Dick is being Dick. Which is awesome. He's a super gentleman. He's taking his time with the fans. With the other fans, which is that's awesome. And my turn comes up. Again, and then I asked him about this story that on the set of Friday the 13th Part 5. See, he was there because I think he was. I don't know if he's doing stunts with Tom Morgan, but I mean, I know they're friends or something. But the basic story is Tom Morgan. He played Jason, and either he was downstairs, and in the scene where Tommy he's upstairs in the house, and he looks out the window and sees Jason. Well, I guess excuse me, Dick Warlock was there, and he was in the window, and he was mooning Tom Morgan, or what Dick Warlock said, whomever you believe, because I guess Dick Warlock says that he mooned Tom Morgan, and Tom Morgan will tell you that he mooned Dick Warlock. But and so that's why Dick Warlock said, "Whomever you believe." Either or, it's a funny story. Picturing Michael Myers mooning Jason Voorhees. That's just funny. But uh, anyways, and then Scott asked him about a question about the fire stunt, but he asked about other stunts he's done. Because Scott made a good point. Dick gets all kinds of questions about Halloween, and he wanted to ask him something other than Halloween. And he was telling the story about how he was doing the stunt on the Golden Gate Bridge or something, and it was awesome. And also, Sean Clark was there. He and Christopher Nelson, who is a FX artist, have this podcast, The Thing with Two Heads. It's awesome. Check it out. But he was there, and he's brought a lot of people to Horror Hound. A lot of celebrities, and he has this company, Convention All Stars. Anyways, he was there, and I was like, Scott pointed out, "Hey, it's Sean Clark," and, and then he was at Dick's table talking to his volunteer, and I'm like, "Holy shit! Hey, you're Sean Clark." Or something. I was fanboying. I was a little nervous, but I was like, "I'm a big fan of your podcast, The Thing with Two Heads." Like, you and Chris Nelson podcast, The Thing with Two Heads, and he goes, "Thank you." I told him I love the podcast episode, and I also said, I mean, and it was a long time. I could have went about it differently. I was nervous and excited to meet him too, though, because he was there. But it's like I would like to talk to you both sometime about movies or something. And he's like, "You're talking to one of us now." I'm like, "You're right." But had I not been so fanboy, it would have been like, um, sometime it would be awesome to talk to you, to have you guys on my podcast, and then or on my friend's podcast, Music Man Cave. It would just, but it was like I I couldn't, I had no idea who was going to be there, but y- Scott thought he might be there, but anyways, so I just wasn't prepared, but anyways, he was cool, very cool guy, very down to earth, and I was like, "Can I get a picture with him?" He goes, "Sure," it was awesome. Well, he's so cool, and I want to say this about Dick Warlock and Nick Castle. They are class acts. Also, they refuse to charge more money for autographs. It was $60 for an autograph and a picture, a selfie. So $60 for the combo, and they both charge the same thing. And that's awesome because that just tells me that they are truly in this for the fans. To meet the fans, but they want to, and they're not all about the almighty dollar, which is nice. And one thing, don't real quick. So here is the mask that Nick Castle signed. He signed it on the inside, and this mask is awesome. It's a Touch 78, and Scott he rehauled the mask, and he did a fantastic, phenomenal job. It looks badass. Looks like you know right out of 78. And Scott also gave me this stand he made, and he's explained how to do it, but I'm I'm not good with my hands like that. I mean, I maybe if you were here or something, and we had the stuff to make a stand, and you could show me, and maybe I see him do it a few times. I don't know, but it's here nor there. But yeah, so he gave me that stand, which is awesome, and and Chris and Scott gave me that mask, and they also gave this other mask to this guy Andrew. Anyways, but anyway, moving on, and so here is the 8x10 I got autographed by Dick Warlock. It says Dick Warlock H2, and Scott gave me the picture frame. Oh, shit. Well, that's not good. Actually, it's perfect. But anyways, so after we left the convention, we went to excuse me. We went to this restaurant that was across the street from the convention center. It was Third Eye Brewing Company, and awesome food. Um, Scott and I both got the pizza burger, which it's only like they only serve it at certain times, so it's like seasonal, which kind of sucks because that burger was amazing. Like, why would you make it seasonal or whatever? But for whatever reason, it is. But yeah, it was fantastic. It was phenomenal. It was a tasty burger. Um, and then we we had dinner, and then Chris and Natalie and everyone went back to Chris's, and then Scott and I went back to his place. We hung out that Saturday, just chilled, um, which is really cool. Just to hang out. It was a long day, a great day, a great weekend, but it was long, so we just chilled and then went to sleep, and and that night Scott told me that I need to put that in a picture frame. He doesn't want to see it on my wall, which I have posters on my wall, and at one time I had in my upstairs apartment. I moved downstairs. I, I had autographed pictures on my wall, but they were in sleeves. But yeah, I would never. But yeah, it was kind of tacky. I'm glad I didn't do that for very long. But anyways, so that's when he gave me the picture frame because he bought a bunch of them from Amazon for because his son was in top soccer, and he needed 8x10 frames for the pictures. But yeah, he had that one, so he gave it to me, and it it looks awesome. And the picture looks great in it, and it looks great on my desk. So yeah, and then Scott, we before he took me home, there was a restaurant called Dolly's on the way home, and they're like Fish's Big Boy. So, or I think they're associated with them too. I can't remember what Scott told me, something like that. But uh, um, they had a breakfast buffet. Oh man, so good, so good. We had to get our money's worth, so we each ate 3 plates. It's like you know, pieces of sections of Belgian waffles, pancakes, French toast, bacon, sausage patties, and links, biscuits and gravy. Oh man, mm. And they had some fruit and everything too, and it was just a hell of a spread. And the waitress, the staff was good, really good. And Scott took me home, and then eventually I got my table where situated and everything, and I'm working on my living room to make it you know look better. More put together. Also, I got this ghost face mask from Horror Hound. It was $30, which yeah, is a good price for this. I mean, the last time I owned a ghost face mask was when I dressed up as Ghostface in I think sixth grade. No, maybe the the third or fourth grade. I was Ghostface. Maybe not the third, fourth grade. But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I love Ghostface. And sporting my Meet Us in the Man Cave shirt. But I need to fix this camera, or not fix. Just I need to figure out how this looks best. I don't know if I'm too close or what. Oh man, I've been talking a long time. But real quick, I heard this on Simpsons, and it's true. But the problem with first impressions is you only get the chance to make one. However, I think I did make a good first impression. I hope I did. I'm pretty sure I think I did. The only thing I would change is I would have made sure to bring towels. I have had body wash and everything, but I did not. I showed up that Friday that they picked me up, and I didn't take another one until Sunday, which uh, and it's a convention center, body heat, so I was a little sweaty, and I put on deodorant. I hope that I wasn't offensive, you know, that like my body odor wasn't overpowering, and I hope I didn't. But I don't know. But if it happens, again, and I will make sure to bring towels. But anyways, so thank you everyone for watching. Stay tuned for more from my channel, and hopefully I can get Scott and Chris on my show again, and also Todd, because I really want to do like a roundtable with those guys, you know. And but so, anyways, stay tuned. Keep looking for more content, hopefully, from me. And everyone have a great day. Deuces. I'll see y'all later. Goodbye. Maybe.